Chapter 15. The pulsing beat of some kind of EDM I don't recognize is pounding in my chest, but it sets the perfect beat for Riley, Jillian, Katya, and I to bounce around, arms in the air, completely unknown in this sea of people. Maria and Elisa drifted away at some point, and the boys are somewhere in the crowd too. Every once in a while, I've spotted them rocking out to the music. This was such a good idea. We needed this. I needed this. The song fades for a second, and Riley leans in. "I have to pee," she yells. "I have to pee too," Jillian says, wheeling around. "Me too," Katya agrees, and they look at me expectantly. "I don't. You guys go. Meet me back here." They give me a funny look, but then they're disappearing into the crowd. Someone behind me stumbles, and I have to spin out of the way to avoid flying into a sea of gyrating bodies. As I catch my balance, I look up and Freddie's right there, blinking at me like maybe he thinks I'm not really there. The crowd surges a little and forces me closer to him. I reach out and brace myself against his chest. There's no air on the dance floor, but that's okay. He's so close, his hands at my hips, fingertips pressing against the silk of my dress. I look up into his eyes, the green blown out almost entirely black, meeting my gaze and holding it. One of his hands slides around to the small of my back, drawing me closer, so close he can lean down and press his mouth to my temple. His cheek brushes against the damp strands of my hair pasted against my forehead. "Is this okay?" he rasps, his voice somehow carrying over the thump of the bass. "Yeah." I don't know if he can hear me, so I nod. We shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. Freddie doesn't belong to me, and I don't belong to him. But it's easy to dance with him. We'd skated together since we were little kids, and when his body moves, mine follows reflexively. As my arms come up and rest on his shoulders, his hand twitches against my hip and then pulls me in, our bodies totally pressed together. And it's that cinnamon scent and his lips brushing against my temple and his strong arms around me, being totally surrounded by him, it's everything. We lose ourselves in it, and the crowd closes in around us, insulating us, making us just another couple in an anonymous mob. And there's a freedom in that lets us stay like this. All I want to do is stay like this, with him, for as long as I can. But then he's gone, and my eyes fly open. When had I closed them? And Riley and Katya are there in front of me. When I look around, the rest of the group has found us, and Freddie's retreated to the edges of the tight circle they've made in the midst of the crowd. Riley shoves a water bottle in my hand, and I take a sip before handing it off to Jillian, and it's almost like it never happened, but it did. I know it did, because he won't meet my eyes, instead shouting something down at Ben before sliding away from us. And then when Brayden finds me and smiles widely before pulling out his phone to take a picture of us to post, I lose track of him and don't see him again for the rest of the night. Turn it off, demands Maria, as the alarm on my phone blares out its usual morning sirens. I answer with a groan, rolling over and swatting at it on the nightstand that separates our beds. I slide my feet out from underneath the covers immediately. If I roll over or do anything other than get up right away, I'll fall back to sleep, and it'll be twice as hard to get up. We should not have stayed out that late. Standing, I stretch my arms above my head and twist at the waist, trying to get my blood flowing. We have practice, and there will be judges milling around. I don't want them to be able to see any weaknesses when Brayden and I take the ice, even in training. It wasn't that late, Maria says, before she buries her head under her pillow, but it's too late to block out the sun as I tear the curtains open. It's not even that early. Our training is in the afternoon session. I'm not really awake either, though, but I have to at least put on a show to get Maria going. Come on, let's go. I get first shower. There's a small cafe attached to the hotel, and most of the team is there when we make it down, mostly because I literally had to pull the covers off Maria's bed and threaten to dump a pitcher of water over her head to get her out of bed. Brayden waves me over to the bench beside me and nudges a bowl of fruit and a croissant and a steaming cup of coffee in my direction. "You're my favorite," I say as I lift the mug to my lips. Damn right I am, he agrees, and sits back as Charlie leans over to tell him something. I don't really hear anything, though. I allow the caffeine to do its thing. I'm sleepy, sure, and like I told Maria, we shouldn't have stayed out as late as we did, but I'm actually feeling okay. I take a bite of some melon and chase it with a flaky piece of the croissant and another sip of coffee. Hey, everyone, Freddie says, looking around the table and finding the only open seat next to me. I shift over as much as possible on the bench, and he slides in beside me, and I try not to think about the last time he was this close to me. Just last night, bodies moving together in the dark. And yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. Adriana, what do you think? Riley asks from across the table. Sorry, what? I blink at her and she laughs at me. Did the caffeine kick in yet? Almost. What am I supposed to be thinking about? I assume it's not how Freddie felt pressed up against me at the club last night. Is winning the most important part of the sport? I furrow my brow and take another sip before answering. I mean, that's sort of the point of sports, isn't it? See, I don't agree. Most people showing up at this competition are pros or want to be pros soon, and they know they have no chance of winning, and they're still here. Are they all just delusional? Ooh, philosophy in the morning after a late night, sign me up, Jimmy jokes, and my partner laughs and leans back, putting his arm over the back of the bench, which basically puts his arm around me, while the boy on my other side stiffens, and I can't help but let my eyes drift to him. He's looking back at me for once, and I shift forward on the bench, away from Braden's arm. What do you think? I ask, turning toward Freddie. Freddie's eyebrows lift in surprise at the question, but he considers it. I think that the love of something is the most important. Does winning even matter if you don't love it? And that makes me think, really think. It's never occurred to me before that some people skate without loving it. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to win without loving it, but I really want to win. Yeah, I know. And suddenly we're not talking about ice dance or hockey or anything other than each other.
Then Freddie tilts his head thoughtfully. But don't you think that there's something admirable about people who do this just because they love it, knowing they won't win? That makes sense. For some people, skating is necessary, like breathing. And we're back to it depends on the person, because what's necessary to me might not be necessary to you. You need, 3 cups of coffee to function in the morning? I don't need any. It's not necessary for me, but it is for you. Right, I say. But as long as we're up and doing what we need to in the morning, does it matter? Depends on what you mean by need. Do I need to get up and train every morning? No, but I do it because I love skating. So maybe I'm more like that than I thought. And because by training every morning, it gives you a chance to win. I smirk, thinking I've won. If winning was the only reason I got up to train every morning, then I'd have a hard time getting up. Haven't won anything outright in a while. My smirk disappears. The last time he won anything outright was with me, the Intermediate National Championships. We were so good that night, skating to I've Had the Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing, because I was obsessed with it. It was our first and last gold medal together. 1 year later, Braden and I won Junior Nationals, proof positive that I'd made the right decision. Had I, though? I said a chance to win, not actually winning, which you agreed with a couple of seconds ago, I say, managing to correct him slightly, but it doesn't matter. If everyone who didn't win quit, the sport wouldn't exist. There are more important things than winning. I'm not disagreeing with you. It sounds like you are. No, it sounds like you are. Okay, you two, Braden says, interrupting us with what sounds like forced laughter. Save it for the ice. The rest of the table seems to agree, and more than one of our teammates are shooting us a confused look. I sit back against the bench, not realizing how much I'd shifted forward in my seat. Sorry, I mutter, mostly to myself, but Freddie clearly hears me. Me too. He has nothing to be sorry for, I want to say, but somehow it feels like he's not apologizing for whatever that stupid argument we were having was, but something else. Was he saying sorry for last night? It feels like it didn't even happen, like maybe I dreamed it, but he must be. My eyes fly open wide at the thought, but then he's gone.
just like last night, pushing off the bench and heading toward the cafe's counter, probably to order something. For a half a second, I think I'm going to follow him, though what the hell I'm going to say, I have no idea. Ah, good, you're all here, Camille says, wandering into the cafe. Bus is pulling up. Finish up and be outside in 5. It takes more like 10 minutes, actually, but eventually we get our bill paid and venture outside to board the bus for our first training session. The sun is barely peeking out between low cloud cover, and the morning air is crisp but comfortable. It's warmer in Paris than it was in Boston, no biting cold that makes your nose go numb and your eyes water. But I still rub my hands together against it as I wait for the rest of the team to get onto the bus. Here, a voice says from behind me, and I turn. Freddie has a small cup of coffee with the lid firmly in place, and he's holding it out to me. You only got through one at the table. Thanks, I say, taking it and grinning. That was sweet. Nothing sweet about that. It's black, like you like it. Yeah, bitter, I say, trying to make it sound like I'm talking about the coffee. Adriana, he says, and stops, like he doesn't quite know how to put it into words, but I bail him out. I know, I say, before looking up into his eyes. I know. Do I, though? No, I don't. I'm completely full of shit. Everything feels like a riddle between us right now, one that I'm not even close to figuring out. Has he forgiven me? Like, really forgiven me? Does he want to be friends? My mind flickers back to the night at the club and the way dancing with him felt like I was finally back where I belonged. Is that what he wants? Is it even what I want? And even if it is it possible? No, it's not. Not if I'm with Brayden, not as long as Riley likes Freddie. I just have to put it out of my mind. It's not going to happen. Too much has happened. He nods and takes a deep breath before letting it out in a heavy sigh. Okay, then, he says, gesturing ahead of me. Let's go. We're a well-oiled machine at training. We've gotten so used to sharing the ice over the last few weeks that it's easy to let those routines take over. We're spaced out on the ice, working with our coaches to break down different skills, and then we rotate easily to run through our short programs. When our time is almost up, it feels like we should all be able to leave together and walk back to the Kellench house and maybe have lunch, watch some TV, or even sit together in the living room and scroll through our phones in a comfortable silence, interrupted only when someone has something hilarious to show us. The team is so efficient that we have a few minutes left after Brayden and I finish up Vienna, and everyone glides back out onto the ice to work on whatever little problem spots they encountered during the session. Brayden swings me up into our lift easily and holds me steady as we finish up. There, it's perfect. We're ready to go out there and kick ass tomorrow. One more time, Riley calls out from the corner of the ice she and Freddie are using to work on their lift too. We skate past them, and for a split second my eyes meet Freddie's. I send him a tight smile, one he returns. Fine, one more time, Freddie agrees, and grabs her hand. Gotta show these two they've got some competition. They take off down the ice, building some momentum before Riley slides into his arms and Freddie lifts her up against his chest, her legs flying out and holding as he takes her weight against him. And when they go to change positions, something goes wrong. I think her hand slips and it throws off his momentum. Shit, Freddie yells when his skate goes out under him and sends him sliding in the other direction. Riley's not so lucky, trying to turn herself in the split second she has in the air, but it's clear she's not going to make it. There's not enough room. Before she lands, Brayden and I are already sprinting across the ice in that direction. Then she goes down, her knee cracking against the ice before her head whips back and does the same. Riley! Charlie shrieks, leaping over the boards and skating out to his sister. A small ice shower coats Freddie's pants when Brayden and I stop in front of them. He's still standing there, staring down at Riley's horrifically still form, one leg twisted at an odd angle, her eyes shut, no movement. We need the trainer, I say, snapping out of my horrified fascination and dropping to my knees beside her. Don't move her.
Brayden skates away at top speed, and I can hear people skating to us. Somewhere behind me, Maria is screaming bloody murder. I check the ice around Riley. There's no blood. I don't know if that's good or bad. I grab her hand and squeeze it. Riley, can you hear me?
I say, leaning in close, hoping that she can, even if she can't respond. Riley? For the briefest moment, she opens her eyes, but there's no comprehension there. She doesn't see me, just stares at me, and for a panicked second, I think she's about to have a seizure. I know that can happen when people hit their heads hard. Her eyes close again, though, and at least that's something. A strangled sound escapes from Freddie, who still hasn't moved away. The trainers arrive on the ice, and I pull back to give them room to work. In a blink, they're examining her, shifting her carefully onto a stretcher and getting her up and off the ice. Sirens are wailing in the distance, and I jerk at the sound. It sounds so much like my alarm on my phone that for a second I instinctively want to check it, but it's not my phone. An ambulance is on its way here. That was fast, unless it was already close by. Sometimes it's even in the arena in case someone gets hurt, like the event organizers don't want to tempt fate by not having one here. So much for that. As a group, the trainers move an unresponsive Riley off the ice toward the sounds growing louder by the moment. Freddie whispers, "My fault." "No," I whisper back, but he shakes his head and follows them. Then Braden's there, beside me. "Come on, we can go with them to the hospital." I let him lead me off the ice. There are dozens of people in the rink, and everyone has their phones out, videoing the stretcher being wheeled away from the ice and out toward the ambulance. "Fucking vultures," Braden says, nodding at them. That's what finally snaps Freddie out of his daze. For a moment, I think he's about to dive into that crowd and smash every single phone on the concrete floor. But Bem and Jimmy fall into step with him and practically perp walk him out of the arena with the rest of us. Vaguely, my brain registers that we're in a car following the ambulance as it winds through Parisian traffic. The city I wanted to see so badly a few hours ago is a 5-minute blur. Then we're in an emergency room where everyone speaks French, so there's a lot of confusion at first until Mr. Monroe arrives, his phone pressed to his ear, and he's able to shout loud enough to find someone who can speak English and then take him and Charlie to where they brought Riley. The waiting room is small and cramped, and there are barely enough chairs for us to sit down. Who knows how long we've been sitting here? I check the clock on the wall. It's the early evening now. It was barely 3 in the afternoon when we were finishing up our practice session. 2 hours, and no word. That can't be good. "Maybe we should go back to the hotel and wait for news there," Camille says. "I'm not leaving," Freddie says, his eyes never leaving the doors they took Riley through. "I'll stay with you," Georgia answers, putting an arm around her little brother's shoulders, even though he's a good foot taller than her. Camille nods. "We should go then. Can we wait for—" I start and stop. I can't quite get the words out, but Camille nods. "We'll stay until we get some news." "We'll go get everyone coffee," Jimmy says, and he enlists Den to go with him. Braden stands up. "I need to stretch my legs anyway. I'll come too." They disappear in the general direction of where a sign with a coffee cup illustration is pointing. "I'm going to hit the ladies' room. Do you want to come?" Camille asks after a few silent minutes, but I shake my head. Georgia stands to join her. Sighing after they leave, I sit back in the hard plastic chair and run my fingers over my hair. The bun I put it in this morning is falling down, but I can't be bothered to redo it. I lean forward and put my head in my hands, pressing the heels of my palms into my eyes. Maybe this is a terrible dream. Maybe the sound of ambulances around me is my alarm trying to wake me up. Maybe none of this actually happened. "It's my fault," Freddie says, and I turn my head enough to see him. He's a full seat away from me, staring out ahead into the middle distance now. If only I'd— "It's not your fault," I repeat firmly. "Falls happen." He shakes his head. "This fall didn't have to, and now she's—" "Hey," I say, shifting over a seat and grabbing his hand. He's got it clenched so tightly that once I pry it open, I can see little half-moons in his palms from his blunt nails. I hold one hand in both of mine and squeeze. "She's going to be okay. She has to be." "You can't know that," he protests, but his hand flexes and then relaxes in mine. No, I say softly. You're right. I don't know. But I have to believe it. I can't do anything else. I'll believe it for you if you need me to. He nods, and he squeezes my hand again. Adriana, he rasps, and I look up at him. He doesn't say anything else, just looks at me, and something thunks in my chest, hard and fast, and then it blossoms into a soft hum through my blood. Bam! The door that leads from the waiting area to the emergency room swings open and slams against the wall. Charlie's rushing through it at full speed. Together, Freddie and I fly to our feet and meet him halfway as he skids to a halt in front of us. His eyes are red and puffy. Oh God, he's been crying. What happened back there? I try to speak, but the words get caught in my throat. Then Freddie squeezes my hand and I'm able to force them out. Is Riley okay? I ask. She's awake and she's going to be okay. A Mack truck of relief plows through me. No, that's Freddie pulling me into a crushing embrace, his arms wrapped around my body. For half a second, I stiffen against it. We were this close last night, but this is different. There's no doubt that this means something because he's not pulling away, and neither am I. And when he turns his face into my neck, his lips brushing my pulse point, I sink into him, my forehead tucking into his shoulder. I tighten my arms around him, my hand burying itself at the back of his neck, sifting through the soft hair that's grown a little too long at the nape of his neck. A throat is clearing behind us. Shit, Charlie's still standing there, probably with more news about Riley. Freddie pulls away like he touched a live wire, and I fall back on my heels as we blink at each other in utter shock. With a shake of his head, Freddie turns to Charlie. Can I see her? Yeah, sure, come on. Then without a backward glance, Freddie follows him through the doors that lead from the waiting area into the emergency room. I want to follow, but I don't. It's not my place. And when I turn back to my seat, there's Brayden with a steaming cup of coffee and a tight grin. Thanks, I say, reaching out for the cup and letting out a heavy sigh as I sit back in my chair. She's going to be okay? He asks, still staring at the door Freddie and Charlie disappeared through. Yeah, she's going to be okay.